Dessie Ellis.
I'm not sure of the way the format works there. I thought we would have been shared in the questions because a lot of things have been addressed.
It doesn't work that. It's just the first deputy in the group.
Well, I know that, but...
So please ask your question.
I'll ask the question, OK. Now, Minister, I suppose at a time, we all know we have an economic crisis at the moment, and we're all in, everyone has to cut their cloths in these situations. But to increase bus fares with Dublin Bus by something like 15 to 25% and prepaid tickets by 9%, is going to discourage an awful lot of people from using the public transport. And, increasingly public transport is being hit. The subvention has been cut year on year. We're one of the lowest in Europe. And, this is having a huge impact. And already, we've seen in the cost-cutting exercise with Dublin Bus the amount of routes that have been cut, the amount of routes that have been changed. And they inevitably lead to passenger losses. Certainly, in terms of numbers, there's going to be losses when it comes to passengers.
Question, please.
Some of the, I know we've had huge increases in fuel costs, and there's inflation out there. I'm wondering, what are you going to do in terms of addressing the losses, the passenger losses? And, are we going to continually keep raising these prices to get money?
Thank you, Deputy.
Because it doesn't make sense.
Call the Minister to reply.
Just say in relation to Dublin Bus that the average cash fare increase that was approved was 8.9%, but the LEAP increase is substantially lower than that. So I very much encourage people to move over to the LEAP card or LEAP card products. Passenger numbers on Dublin Bus are now stabilising; they're not falling anymore, and that's a positive sign of the economy starting to recover. We've achieved, or will achieve in the next couple of weeks, the cost savings that eluded us in the last 16 months because of the decision by SIPTU yesterday not to engage in industrial action. So it's been quite a struggle, quite frankly, for the past 2 years to put things in order. But things are now looking better, certainly in Dublin Bus and Bus Éireann. As I say, when it comes to the next comprehensive spending review, I'll be proposing to government that there not be any further reductions in PSO from 2015 onwards, because it is the case, and this is where I think you're right, is that the kind of fare increases we've seen in recent years are not sustainable in the long term. There may need to be increases every year or two, but certainly not increases of the scale we've seen in recent years. So I take your point in that regard.
Thank you, Minister.
Thanks very much, Minister. I know that you said that in 2015 we won't be cutting the PSO from 2015, but that doesn't account for 2014. And any further cuts there is going to have a huge impact. And the increases that you've mentioned, 8.9% in fares, that's going to add to most people a couple of €100 a year when they're people that are commuting regular. And these usually are people that can't afford to have cars. The vast majority of these people that use the public transport use it for a particular reason, that it has been the cheapest method of getting around. And I just think that this is going to have a big impact. The regulator seems to set these fares, but Minister, I don't know. What input do you have to the regulator? Does the regulator just say, I'm going to set these and you don't get it informed whatsoever? I know the role of the regulator is supposed to be independent, but to be honest, I just find it very difficult when we're trying to encourage public transport that the regulator sets these and we're just kicking the touch saying that we've no input or we've no way of influencing that.
Final reply from the Minister.
Yeah, the Oireachtas transferred the power from the Minister to the regulator to make these decisions, and that was a decision of the Dáil and Shannon to do so. Obviously, I have conversations with the regulator, but the legal power rests with the regulator. The impact analysis is done every year. It's done every year by the National Transport Authority as part of the fare determination process. Just to clarify, I'll be proposing to government that there be no further cuts in subvention from 2015 onwards. I'm not saying that's a government decision yet. That's a proposal I'll be making as part of the next comprehensive spending review, which will be underway in the next couple of months. The question Deputy Dooley asked really relates to what economists like like to call the elasticity of demand. If you put up prices too high, do numbers using your service fall? And of course they can, but so far that hasn't happened. Dublin Bus passenger numbers have stabilised. Lewis numbers are increasing. Bus Air and Irish Rail is a slightly trickier picture, particularly when it comes to intercity services. But if we continue to increase fares at the current rate, I do think we will see a fall off in passenger numbers, and that's why I'm restating my view that in the coming years it isn't sustainable for fares to increase at the rate they have been increasing in recent years.
Question 3, Deputy Maureen Sullivan, to introduce her question.
Okay, thank you, Minister. The City Centre Transport Assessment Study is being carried out by the National Transport Authority and Dublin City Council, and they're looking at the management and movement of goods and people to, from and within Dublin City.